Hey everyone! Before we get started, we wanted to give you a quick invitation to join the Living the Six podcast group on Facebook Workplace. The group is one of the best places to stay connected with the show. You'll get notifications for new episode releases, polls, topical questions, and be a part of enriching discussion on learnings and insights for living the six values. Not only does MarketStar Workplace make it easier to collaborate with your colleagues and fellow listeners, it's also your go-to resource for the latest news and updates across the company. Simply log in via Office 365 or directly at marketstar.workplace.com to get started on Workplace. Then search for the Living the Six podcast group and request to join. That's Living the Six-podcast. And now, enjoy the show.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody. Hi, this is once again the Living the Six podcast. Today we have a really exciting episode, and with me is Jordan Donahoe, Steve Schwartzman counterpart. So we're going to be tag teaming this episode. It's going to be a real fun one. What do you think, Jordan?
I'm looking very much forward to it and stepping into Steve's shoes a little bit in that capacity. It's a big lift, but I think I'm ready for it.
Cool. Well, we can't wait to have fun and learn about the guests for today's episodes. Like I said, this one's a little bit different. We want to discuss what it means to be a master of your craft today. And we have our special guests, Charlie, Angel, and Tice with us. These are rock stars that are nominated by their peers. And it's a greatly inspiring way to highlight the amazing people that work at MarketStar. So without further ado, we're going to get their insights on what it really means to be a master of your craft. So how you guys feeling? I mean, Angel, Charlie, Tice?
I'm feeling really good.
I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
And definitely excited to be here.
Great. Well, I'd love to get started. You guys have very, very different stories, and we want to make sure we get to all of them. I want to dive into questions right away, if that's okay with you. But the first being, let's get some background on each one of you guys. I'd love to know, your stories here at MarketStar, and we'll start with that.
Angel, in kind of reviewing your case and some of the things that you've done since you came in here to MarketStar, and the master of your craft and that exploration. Why don't you kick us off in that? Give us a little bit of your background, where you started, how you've gotten it into the places that you are, and let's kind of kick it around from there.
Yeah, I can do that. So for me, I was with a tech company before coming to MarketStar, and I did, everything you can imagine. And the sales experience I had was upsell. It wasn't challenging. And so I got talking with a friend who had worked at MarketStar, and he says, you need to talk with one of the recruiters there. He gave him my name and number, and he called me, and he's like, I think you'd be a really good fit. So let's get you interviewing. And so I did. And I was interviewed a few times. And I finally, on the last one, I said to the sales manager, I'm like, look, I know I don't have a ton of experience, but I promise you, I will give you 100% every day. And if I'm not attaining goal by 6 months, I'll leave. You won't have to let me go. I'll go. And he just looked at me and goes, oh, you've got some grit. Okay. And he hired me. And I felt very, not at ease in the position at first. It was super strange and super new. But as I challenged myself and set those goals for myself and got some really great support from my peers on the project, I rapidly grew and started becoming, a top performer like I promised I would. I don't make promises to other people very often. I don't make promises to myself that I know I can't do. And so I got there. And it got to a point where it wasn't challenging anymore, and I needed more growth. And I was approached about the opportunity to move to a pilot, which in itself is super scary because it's a very limited amount of time, and you have to prove it or it goes away. And then you've got to start over yet again. And so, but I did it. I just told myself, hey, you got to grow. I was giving everything I had and helping everybody around me at the one, but I wanted to move up in mentoring, into moving into leadership, potentially into training. And so I needed to shift. And so I did it. And I forced myself to flip that switch in my head from what was comfortable to finding the opportunities within this new program to grow and make it a success. Really quickly, we had very new people on the team that didn't do it in the exact same place I was when I started. And I was like, oh, there's my opportunity. And so I just shifted from a sales role to a sales mentor, unofficial management, kind of not really management, but kind of backing up all that area that I could to do that. And starting with the first month in ramp, month over month, showed myself as a top performer while also mentoring as many as I could.
Wow. And I liked a lot of the things that you said there. One of the things that you hit on was grit, giving that 100% and being willing to kind of gamble on yourself. So, there's a lot of things that can be said about that journey and being willing to take that gamble and to lean in on some of the expertise that you bring to the table. So thank you for that. And thank you for sharing. Not in any particular order, but I'm going to kick it over to Charlie. Charlie, kind of the same question. Fill us in on that, on some of those details that Angel filled us in on in your personal journey.
Yeah, so I've had an interesting career, I guess, all in all. Like looking at my resume, it's kind of eclectic in a lot of ways. A number of different sales positions. I actually, moved back into sales from mortgage servicing. I worked as a supervisor in an escrow tax department. And I did that for a couple of years. And it was, I think we've all had those jobs where we just kind of like feel our soul leaving our body when we clock in. And so definitely just kind of felt like moving on to something else that like was more like gratifying, fulfilling. And so I actually started to get back into sales by moving into logistics sales, which is brutal for anybody that has the experience in logistics sales. But that really opened up, a lot of confidence for me and my abilities in moving into something that I was completely unfamiliar with, and then seeing some success, in that role. With that confidence, I started to look out to other opportunities. So that's actually where I first saw the opportunity to work for an AdTech company within MarketStar. And, on the surface, I didn't have any experience in marketing whatsoever, but I had that confidence of like, I know I can sell. And then from the escrow tax supervisor days, I was a wizard with Excel and understanding analytics and reporting. So I just had a lot of confidence in like what my capabilities were. So I took a gamble and applied and actually got the role. And honestly, like that was an opportunity that really would have been difficult to get anywhere outside of MarketStar, and that opened up a lot more opportunities for me. From there, I was at that program for about a year and a half, actually almost exactly 18 months. And then I had another opportunity to work directly for another ad tech company. And then after about a year of that, so the pandemic struck, and as does happen with the COVID world, which I'm sure a lot of us unfortunately have had the experience of, having our place of occupation no longer be our place of occupation due to downsizing. But that opened up another opportunity for me. I had gained a lot of really good connections in and proved myself and my skill sets, within that organization. And former coworker reached out to me because he was opening up a brand new ad tech team at MarketStar. And it's really an exciting opportunity. As Angel did say, it's also kind of nerve-wracking a little bit, because you're starting a brand new team. It's not established. And with that comes the fact that you have no baked-in processes when it comes to like the sales flow, when it comes to all of the systems that we use. There's no best practices when you walk into it on a pilot program. So For me, I really took that as a challenge of, first and foremost, I have a lot of experience from these other organizations that I worked at. And I know that there's a lot of value that I can contribute in helping to build out this team and this program. And so I took that opportunity, and outside of the experiences that or opportunities even that MarketStar has the ability to provide, being able to start a sales program for a large organization is not an opportunity that can be found many other places. So it's been a really cool experience. The program actually hits its year mark in about two-ish weeks. So it has been very successful and has provided me a lot of really good opportunities to mentor my teammates. I'm actually working with one of the new trainers within MarketStar to build the training curriculum for all of the new hires moving forward, and have a lot of really good opportunities to get FaceTime with the client and for them to see the value that MarketStar actually has the ability to provide in driving not just sales revenue, but also in being able to contribute to their training curriculum and the resources that they use, and then building out relationships for developing new content that can be used both internally as well as with the MarketStar team. So all in all, it's been a really cool ride so far, and really looking forward to additional opportunities moving forward.
Wow, good job. I mean, no wonder you're a rock star, right? Tice, I want to hear from you too. What has your journey been like up to this point?
Well, it's definitely going to be challenging to follow up those two amazing stories, but I'll definitely share my experience. For me, I'm still on my journey, which is exciting. I'm actually going on my 13th year here at MarketStar. And so for me, it's been a tremendous, experience this entire time. When I first was, getting recruited by MarketStar, I had a sales leader from a previous organization that I was working for, trying to poach me essentially, telling me about how wonderful this company of MarketStar was. And I had no idea, what I was really getting into. But in the end of the day, they were like, look, Tice, you can sell an Eskimo ice and I want you on my team. And so I took the leap of faith. I left an organization that I'd been with for over 8 years to come over and try this MarketStar thing out. And, my very first experience, I was on a team that had a contract, and, within the first 2 months, the contract was no longer there. And so I was in a position with having conversations with my leaders, looking at other opportunities. And I'm like, what is going on right now? And they're like, well, this is the MarketStar way. And, we have contracts, we have other teams. And I just didn't know the full scope of, what MarketStar really, had and was bringing to the table. And so from there, I had, all of these opportunities really laid out in front of me. And it really kind of gave me a course and a direction to really grow my career through. And, from there, I was able to, join, several teams and learn different competencies and learn different technologies. And just throughout that experience, every team that I've had an opportunity to be on, there's always been other opportunities to present itself to grow within that team, and also to grow outside of it. So for me, my journey has been, nothing but opportunities and really capitalizing on them. Now, those opportunities were never just given or presented to me. I definitely had to go out and prove my worth and put my name in that circle of candidates that, should be, considered for these opportunities. And, and that's, I just really, bet on myself, right? I came to work every single day knowing that I'm going to do the best that I need to be, and also what can I do to improve myself for the next day, and just going into it day in, day out of improvement, knowing that I've got plenty of gaps and I need to get better, and just kind of having that mindset and awareness really took me across my journey, is just knowing that this path of knowledge will never end, and it's a continuous journey. And like I said earlier, I'm still on it.
I think there's something really profound there too. As I'm hearing your guys' stories, I'm noticing a common thread about, like, at some point there was a certain time of uncertainty, right? And it might have been really early in your guys' journeys that have helped you become the rock stars that you are today. Can you guys give me a little bit more insight, and whoever wants to pipe up first? But what is it really like? What did those really times of uncertainty teach you that allowed you to push forward during those times?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at it. For me, in those times of uncertainty, it's honestly just having confidence in myself and what I know I have the ability to do, and placing also trust in my peers and in my leadership to really become extremely leaned in and collaborative on developing solutions for whatever problems that we face. And a lot of that honestly just comes with experience, at other programs, helping to develop training curriculum, helping to develop, sales processes, whatever that really looks like. You just have to really lean into your capabilities and what you know that you can do, and just take a leap of faith and really, challenge yourself and push yourself to do more even than you have previously. So, the biggest thing and benefit to MarketStar so far in my experience has really been that a lot of your other peers are extremely leaned in working to become successful as well, because a lot of us don't come from tech backgrounds. And so MarketStar provides a lot of opportunities in that arena. And everybody takes that seriously. So there's this culture of support and of collaboration that is, it's really motivating, and it really pushes you to try to be a better version of yourself as well.
Yeah, and I'd love to add to, what Charlie just said there. Not only was it just that, personal confidence, but for me, it was the empowerment from my leadership, having my leaders, finally understand and recognize, the capabilities, that are that were there, and just really tapping into that, and just really unlocking that, and just enabling me to be me and to be successful in those roles. But just knowing that I did have, leadership buy-in and their support ultimately gave me that confidence, knowing that, yes, I can do that. And if I can't, I do have support around me.
Yeah, for me, it was very, very similar to what Tice and Charlie have said. I had to find that within myself, and, that when I'd start to feel doubtful of my own abilities to succeed. I have that brain where I second guess everything that I do and everything that I think. And with my leadership that I had, I was very lucky to have some amazing leadership from the start that helped push me out of that shell, and basically tell that inner voice that's second guessing it all and making me feel not so confident that it's wrong, and that, I can do anything. And through time, I was able to push through that and get there. So yeah, finding it within myself, but with a lot of nudging from some amazing managers.
Yeah, I think that, picking up on what you said, you guys, each one of you talked about amazing leadership, but also feeling empowered, but having confidence in your abilities and being able to confidently take the next step and kind of put yourself out there a little bit, and not necessarily be so comfortable in the moments, and really find additional ways to make your impact felt. So I think that lends itself into that question of growth and opportunity. I know, Tice, you were recently promoted within the team that you're currently on, and you won RockStar in that sort of same quarter. Can you expound upon that, how those two things kind of ran together?
Beyond luck, yeah, I'd be happy to. No, for me, I was really given an opportunity to join a team that really I felt matched a lot of my skill sets. It's a lot of channel experience. There's technology, and there's direct customer sales. So for me, it was like a perfect marriage to join this team. And when we started, it was a 2-man team, and ultimately, the two of us had to band together to figure it out. We didn't have much direction. We didn't have much to go off of as we were the beginning and the origins of this team, and it was really what we were going to make of it. And so just going in and studying the market and understanding, where my product portfolio fit, and just, taking that grasp and then just running with it, right? From there, our team actually grew in a short period of time. And so it gave us opportunities as peers to work with, newer team members, right? As they were getting onboarded, what challenges are they going to face, and what are they going to, encounter? And for us, it was easy, right? It's like, hey, we've already, been through this, we've already experienced this. And for me, it was a bunch of hand raising, right? Like I didn't want, the new folks to repeat and make the same mistakes that we did, right? And it was a platform of sharing best practices and, not reinventing the wheel, but then just improving. So for me, it gave me an opportunity to really, step up and raise my hand and just be a, air quote, leader, for the team, even though if I didn't have that title, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this team to be successful and to grow and to, at the end of the day, also have a team that is happy and enjoys what they do. And so for me, I think that is what, gave me kind of that platform and autonomy to, express myself in how I see leadership, through my lens. And ultimately, again, we were able to grow the team and are still continuing to grow. And, I think that's really what gave me that opportunity and shot to kind of, again, put myself out there, if you will.
Yeah, I love that answer because, well, not because of the fact that it is necessarily luck and sort of skill and confidence and all of those things that we've already sort of articulated up to this moment, but there is an element of right place, right time, right attitude that goes into winning Rockstar and ultimately becoming, a sort of quote unquote with titled leader. But winning Rockstar does kind of give you a little bit of leadership buy-in, right? If nothing else, you're definitely a cultural leader. So Angel or Charlie, whichever one of you guys wants to pipe up first, I'm going to kick that question over to you. Because each one of you has kind of hit on this at a high level, but having leaders that empowered you is amazing. But also now winning Rockstar gives you a little bit of that leadership street cred. How do you plan on, or how do you experience that, and how do you want to pay that forward, so to speak?
For me, I mean, as far as the nomination and winning Rockstar, honestly, like that is just a really good feeling in and of itself. But I mean, really what led me up to this point and getting that recognition from my peers is just really having a very heavily leaned in mindset. And I kind of function on a very base level of, if not you, then who? So when it comes to, understanding new sales processes, when there's a new product that rolls out or there's a new beta, a new system, it's really just putting myself in the situation of, somebody's got to figure it out. And, really, I have confidence in my abilities to be able to figure it out, even if it takes me, 8 or 10 hours of beating my head against a wall. As soon as I have that experience and as soon as I'm able to know and understand that system, that process, how to opt a customer or a client into one of those betas or alphas that's brand new that nobody knows how to do, immediately I take it upon myself to, in turn, put together a training and a how-to process, do recordings and send that out to the entire team, run trainings, really just to take that edge off of everybody else. So as far as, the street cred that provides, it's really more than anything. It just gives me an opportunity to let my peers know that, like, not only am I always willing and able to help, but that's something I'm going to go out of my way to proactively do every time. As far as like the Rockstar Award, I feel like in some sense that's a token of appreciation for that, which honestly is just more than anything extremely motivating just to keep doing what I'm doing and find other opportunities to go above and beyond and provide additional value to the team in the form of those trainings, in the form of coachings, in the form of mentorship.
Finding opportunities. Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself. And I love your answer too. It really hits home on what that masters of our craft sort of attitude and that leaning in idea. And Angel, I wanted to give you plenty of space to answer that question as well. So I'll stop talking now and give you the floor.
Yeah, so very similar. I was not expecting this at all. So when I didn't even know that I'd been nominated, and the day before the meeting, I was told, hey, this is what you got. You need to be at this meeting, and it took me back a little. And I don't know why, but it built my confidence even more, which is great, because being on this pilot, there's so much room for growth as we hopefully expand and add more seats. There's going to be room for more leadership. And so I think that added to my resume so that when it comes time for leadership, I can work towards that, which is where I want to go. But being a rock star for me it was more validation of what I'd done, and then giving me a little bit more drive to continue that effort, but on an expanded level. So now I don't just say, hey, if you need help, reach out. Or if someone says, hey, can you help me? I do it. I make it a point each day to do a check-in. Hey, daily check-in. Does anybody need help with anything? We just changed motions in our pilot. And so we're starting by building a whole new wheel, so to speak. And so it's learning how to build new reports and teach the team how to do the new reports, and finding who on our team is better suited to do certain aspects, and having them help, with that. So, with Salesforce and building those out, or with, other tools and building out what we need to. I don't just do it all. I found people that are better at one thing than I am and said, hey, I don't know how to fix this. Do you? And they went out of their way to fix it. And then we worked together to teach everyone else. It's for me, it's not about me. It's all about the team. And so if I can help others find success, and something that they can excel at, within the project, that's where it hits home for me. That's my happy spot.
That's really cool. And I actually just want to circle back to a point you made earlier too. And maybe there isn't a question tied to this, but I see a common thread with the rock stars we have today. And that's being an agent of change on your teams, and how, there was some perceived gap somewhere, and you guys just took the reins and took ownership and really carried that forward to make the team successful. I mean, do you guys have any thoughts on that? Anything that caused you to sort of flip that switch and become that leadership person, or you're the experimental person on your team that allowed you guys to finally get over that hump, especially on a pilot?
Well, for me, it was kind of just needed. I was the one that was most tenured on our team. Everyone was very new to MarketStar. They were very new to the type of motion that we were doing, and I was somewhat familiar with it, so I ran with it. To me, the program needed to succeed, the team needed to succeed, so I just picked it up and did it. There was not a switch. It was just, I guess there was a switch, but there was no actual, one thing that made me go, oh, that's what I got to do. It fell that way for me.
Yeah, because I bet it felt pretty natural.
Yeah, being, I've always been looked at as a team mom, because,
yeah.
Well, I'm 50, and so everyone else is fairly much younger. So I was team mom, and it just felt natural for me to, when this new thing started, to be like, okay, let's bring in all the, the team, and let's just all succeed together. And so the leadership aspect kind of just fell into that for me.
That's cool. I mean, each of your stories are so different, but yet similar at the same time. So I really love to hear the individual perspectives. Charlie, did you have a thought on that?
Yeah. So I think for me, something that I've experienced over the course of my career is a very marked paradigm shift. Because I've always really had a high expectation for myself to be a top performer, to be somebody that everybody looks to as, like, Charlie's the guy that always hits quota. Charlie's the guy that always goes above and beyond. But since being at MarketStar, I've really had a strong shift in my perspective and understanding of what it means to be a top performer, where you really, like, instead of looking internally and having this high expectation of, like, I need to be the best, I need to be better than the guy that's next to me, I need to be better than the rest of my team, to having, like, just a pivot of what will make me the best is to also uplift those around me, so that my team can be top performers, so that everybody is able to experience that same level of growth and is able to hit bonus. And for me, it's a lot more fulfilling seeing everybody around you successful, not obviously exclusively because of what I'm doing, but in large part because I'm helping to contribute to the team and their performance and their success. So it's definitely a shift in focus that I've had in my professional career. But I think to its core, that is really the difference between just somebody who is a top performer and somebody that their peers will recognize as a rock star, because you really do care about your team's success. You care about the individuals that you work with. If you see somebody struggling, you immediately go to provide any level of assistance that you can possibly provide. So that's been my personal experience.
And for me, I have a very ultra competitive spirit. And so every job, everything that I do comes a level of competition where I want to be the best, and I want to make sure that my product and brand is on point. And so where I had an awareness or understanding of how I can not only be better for myself, but to Charlie's point, how can I help the others around me be successful? And something that MarketStar does really well, for their teams is there's teams that have what we call our SMEs, our subject matter experts. And for me, I was all over that title. I'm like, okay, I can be an expert in this arena and be a viable resource, for my team. Absolutely. Right. And then, so for me, like, just, going around, from team to team, knowing, hey, what areas of SMEs are in need, and where can I jump in and help support? For me, I've always been a hand raiser, to do that. And I think that's what's ultimately helped me, right, to get recognized for a rock star. Because it's not just what am I doing, for myself, but there's a true, genuine passion for me to help those, out around me and to be successful as well.
And yeah, Tice, what you just said is so true. When, a little bit of background, me and Tice worked together on a old pilot program. We were both young kids. I was wet behind the ears, but Tice was a veteran here at MarketStar, but even by that point. And it was so great to work with somebody that would take the time to teach me some things that I didn't know walking in. And he would do it in such a way that made it feel engaging, that was collaborative, that was back and forth, that gave me a lot of permission to ask the kind of quote unquote stupid question, but it wasn't a stupid question. It was just getting to know the team, getting to know the dynamic, coming to work at MarketStar, kind of net new, getting to know the space. I dare say that a lot of my success was pivoted on some of the hard work that we put in when we launched that team. So I think your answer, Tice, and really for everybody, Charlie, Angel, your answer is 100% spot on in the way that having that presence felt and stepping into that role is so important, not just for you and where you want to go in your career, but for the people that are coming on, that are new. I think, Angel, you said it best, being a team mom. I think that is perfect, right? Like that is the right sort of approach when it comes to, stepping into a team, stepping onto a pilot, building out something that has sticking power and that can last. So I love everyone's answer. And just to kind of piggyback off of it, we all experience a little bit of failure in our career, right? There are times, and I think, a couple of us hit on it when we talked earlier, when we kind of introduced ourselves and coming into this, but we all experience that element of failure. But it's not so much the failure, it's the bounce back. And RockStars typically have a pretty big bounce back after failure. So if you guys would, and anybody that wants to chime in, please feel free to do so first. But talk to me about that experience and the bounce back and ultimately winning RockStar.
I'd love to take this one. For me, this one is personal. I have always coveted the RockStar award. I saw my peers winning that award. I saw myself getting nominated, for the award, several times, but never able to actually win it. And so I took it upon myself, right? Like, what the heck do I need to do to really become a rock star? Like it was a lot of self-awareness, because here I was, thinking for years, I was the bee's knees. I thought I was doing everything I needed to do to become that rock star. And so I truly took another double down approach. I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to continue doing what I do. But double down on it, right? And make sure that, my efforts are being noticed, and make sure that, I am putting in my all in every day. And maybe it was just those little things that I, had to go back and, calibrate and tweak a little bit. But, ultimately, I stayed in it. I kept my head down, continued to, work hard and grind. And ultimately, when that nod came, it was an incredible feeling. I know that there were several people cutting onions around me, is what I like to say, but it was so rewarding. And it was, for me, like, it was like, I finally got there, and now I can take it as a badge of pride, and knowing that, it did take some, humility for me to get to that point. And I want to get better. So, I've got one under my belt and would love to get a couple more. So I've got to continue to get better and continue to grow.
I'll even take it a couple steps back from that. So, in the transition between industries. So, a lot of people who might be listening to this, or, other members of the team, the opportunities that MarketStar can provide are oftentimes completely out of your area of expertise. So my experience when I first moved to a project, in the digital advertising arena, it was brand new for me. And, I've always had really high expectations of myself, always really wanted to be a top performer. But, to be very candid, it is incredibly challenging learning a completely new industry from the ground up. And it was something that, I immediately was one of those guys that was like, I want to be a top performer. Like, I've got a pretty big cohort. I want to, be the cream that rises to the top. I want to be that person that everybody sees and like, oh, if he can do it, I guess anybody can do it. And it was not necessarily that way to start. It was very, very challenging. And I know for myself, like, I just had to have a lot of really strong self-talks of like, you know what, Charlie, you can do this. Like, figure out what everybody else is doing that is seeing success, and figure out exactly what they're doing, and then go do that. If that doesn't work for you, try something else. So it was just this like constant self-talk of self-motivation on convincing myself that I can in fact do it. So for me, if I didn't have that voice in my head that, constantly pushed myself to be a better version of myself, like without that foundation, I definitely would not be where I'm at today. So the assurance that I can give everybody is that, even though you're moving into a pilot program that's brand new, even though you're moving into a new industry, constantly push yourself to be better. And use the opportunities that are given to you. Whether those are trainings, proactively utilizing a lot of the training resources that we have available. Constantly focused on working and developing yourself, and you can accomplish absolutely amazing things. So looking back at my career, if I didn't have those moments when I failed miserably and constantly pushed myself to stand back up and try new things, definitely would not be having this conversation right now.
I think that's a really important point. And I think that also covers my next question, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And Angel, we'll get back because I want to hear your answer too. But I think just to emphasize your point, Charlie, on the failures and you have to hype yourself back up after a failure. And it can be pretty rough depending on what it is, right? We've all felt that way. But I think that's also a very encouraging factor for especially new people to take into consideration. They are often starting in the same positions that we all did at MarketStar. And with a new team, everything is unsure. And maybe this is their first sales job. Maybe, and we're trying to help them along to succeed on especially a new program. So there's all these like other factors that are happening at the same time as this possibly new person is coming in, and I'm seeing it from like a new employee's perspective, right? And so this could be like any new employees that are listening to this can also take this to heart, where like if you guys stick with it, because the amazing people that are on your side as supports, I know that things can get really discouraging at first, and some people might give up if they're not immediately understanding a concept or a sales tip or anything like that. They might throw up their hands and say, I give up, this is too hard, right? And that can be a real a real blow to someone's confidence. And so just knowing the journeys and failures that you guys have had and discussing those freely can be a real confidence boost for someone else. So definitely appreciate you telling your comeback stories. What about you, Angel? I want to hear your thoughts now too.
So before I came to MarketStar, the company I was with had a program that if you were in the top so many, you got XYZ rewards. And I was always coming in, if it was a top 10, I was always coming in at 11 or 12. And it was super discouraging because I did everything I could to get up there, but it just never felt like I could get there. And so then I moved here, and it was, hey, there's this thing, it's called RockStar. And there's this other program that we had at the time, if you were a top performer. And so I'm like, okay, well, RockStar is way down the road, and I've got to learn all this and get good. But I wanted that other one. And I would just barely, the first like 2 quarters, just barely outside the reach of it. And it was like, oh my gosh, how can I get there? And I sat down with one of our favorite execs who's all about the 4 stages of development and pushing people into dissatisfaction so they can learn. I sat down with him and he's like, this is how you do it. Don't get discouraged and keep yourself moving forward, and you're going to get there. I promise you'll get there. Follow these. And he gave me some mentoring and showed me some things to do, and I bounced back and I got it. And once I got it, they stopped the program. It was something you could earn every month or every quarter, but they stopped it. But that was okay. I got it. And I still have the trophy, and I still look at it. And every time I get discouraged, I would look at that and go, no, see, I could do it. And he said I could do that. And so then I set my sights on RockStar. And I didn't know until recently that I'd been nominated multiple times. I'm glad I didn't know, because I think that may have been a bit more discouraging to know how many times and I didn't get it. But getting it finally was super, super validating for me, that all my efforts weren't just, they were seen. I'm seen. And so I just would say to anybody who is feeling discouraged and wants to, set those goals, you don't have to set it for RockStar right away. Set yourself up for, I'm going to be top performer on my team this month. Okay, now I'm top performer. Now next month I'm going to be top performer, and I'm going to mentor one person. And just keep adding those goals so that you can get yourself to the place where you're seen, and it's just going to come. There's a quote that I saw today actually that said, success is never permanent and failure is never final. And that's kind of how I've always looked, at things. Yeah, I failed. Big deal. That's one thing. There's other things I can succeed at. Yay, I succeeded, but now I've got to do more because it can go away. So keep pushing. And I'm open as well. So if anybody listening wants to reach out, please do. I'm happy to talk with anybody anytime about, overcoming those dissatisfaction moments.
Awesome. I really like that advice. And we always, put out information about our guests too. So if anybody wants to reach out to them for a chat, they totally can. I don't know. I think we've already went through so much material. What do you think, Jordan? Did you have any other questions that were eating at you?
Yeah, I would say that the one sort of question, and I think we've touched on it quite a bit throughout this, but I think that my biggest takeaway is that RockStars really live all 6 of the values, right? Like we've really touched on creativity that drives impacts, leadership that inspires, those sorts of things, and obviously masters of our craft. I think maybe kicking it back to the group and saying what value do you holds the most water for you in the journey that you've had at MarketStar? What singular value, just naming one, stands out to you that says this is the value that I represent every day? And whoever wants to take the question first, by all means, but I think we have some pretty strong opinions, and so let's go ahead and let's go. Let's stop there. I'll stop talking and let you talk about your value.
For me, it's all in every day. I'm 100%. I don't do anything 10%, 20%. If I can't do it that day, then I'm on myself for that. I hold myself accountable for every action and the reactions that follow. And I literally go into the day going, okay, this is what I have to do. And it's all going to get done. I have to all in every day, all day, every day.
It's such a good value too. And especially to win RockStar, I think each one of us have to live that day in and day out. But, based on the things that you've said today, Angel, absolutely, I would agree with that completely and 100%.
Yeah, for me, this one's easy. I do believe that, you have to live all of these values to be a rock star. But for me, the one that resonates the most for me is you belong, which may surprise some folks that maybe are listening and know me, right? But for me, it's like I said, I've been here for 13 years. There wasn't always a platform for me to share my voice and my experiences. And I just, again, didn't really always feel valued. And there's a lot has changed with new leadership and new changes in the regime, if you will. But for me, I know I belong here, and that's what's keeping me here so far.
Yeah, after knowing you for as long as I have, Tice, I firmly believe it. That is definitely the one I thought would stand out the most to you. So good to know I was right, and I know my friend. Charlie, do you have thoughts?
So the big one for me that really ties all of the other characteristics of a rock star together is definitely we care, because at the end of the day, you can be a master of your craft. You can be all in every day, but it's very easy just to be in it for yourself, where if you have that genuine care and concern for your peers, for the people around you, to be better versions of themselves, to be able to break down walls that you found challenging and that you were able to overcome, and then being able to pass that knowledge off to your peers and make their lives easier, really is rooted for me in the fact that I do care about my team. I care about their success. I care about how easy it is for them to do their jobs, because things that I find challenging and that I found a way to hurdle, really my next step, and the first thing that I go to is how can I pass this knowledge off to my team. So without that, I feel like for me everything else would fall apart. So that really gives me a lot of buy-in to when things become difficult for myself, to continually push through and be a better version of myself for my team.
That's awesome. Well, if anybody listening if they didn't know before why you guys are rock stars, they sure know now, because you guys are all very exemplary people. And we're so glad to have you on our teams that have made the impact that you have so far. So we appreciate all of your work and the support that you give your individual teams, and to be able to win an employee recognition program like RockStar is no small thing to do. So we definitely appreciate all your guys' time as well for really diving into what, is behind all that today.
Yeah. Thank you, each of you guys, just to piggyback off of that. And, thank you, Nicole, for inviting me onto this podcast. This has been a true experience and a fabulous thing to do. So the insights that we learned today were amazing. Each one of you guys really gave us a reason to want to be rock stars, to set that pace, and to reach out and do the things that are needed in order to truly live the six, but specifically be masters of our craft. Thank each one of you, and thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, I mean, Steve said you were fine, so I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'll take it. But stepping into this seat, rather, it's one of those that it's an experience, and it's a valued one. And I've really enjoyed it and appreciated the conversation all around. So again, looking forward to doing it again.
Yeah, awesome. Yes, you haven't seen the last of Jordan, everybody. And hopefully every one of you guys can come back eventually on our show and revisit at a different time, maybe even about something different. So we'll see.
That would be awesome. And I want to thank both of you, Nicole, Jordan, for being super awesome hosts, Tice and Charlie for being really great cohorts in this. This was really fun. Thanks.
Awesome time. It was a great experience. Definitely an honor and a pleasure. So best wishes and luck and success in this podcast and growing subscribers. So thank you all.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. It was fun.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody. We'll definitely see you next time.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of MarketStar's Living the Six podcast. We'll be back next month with new guests and topics to continue sharing stories and perspectives on MarketStar's purpose and values. Be sure to download and subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts, and stay connected with us to let us know what you've enjoyed about the show and any thoughts on what we can do to make the listener experience even better. MarketStar employees can connect with the show on Facebook Workplace, and all listeners can contact us by emailing talentdevelopment@marketstar.com and including podcast in the subject line. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.